questions. I would give also an example of, I don't know whether I gave the same example of Dandora dam site. Did we share that one?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't know whether this Dandora dam site was moved to another place, because sometimes back it was an issue when the government said that it is going to move the dam site to another place. There were so many political arguments. Others saw that if they would remove this dam site, then it means some people would lose, like they make money, it's a source of money. If you walked actually to Dandora dam site and you did an observation, you will find that in this dam site, we have so many people who are making business out of it. One, you will find these people who pick waste and they go to do what? They transform this waste and replicate the waste and sell. We also have people in this Dandora who are gangsters, who waylay people, beat them up, then snatch whatever they have. They also live there, they hide there. On the other hand, you find that in this dam site, we have NGOs that are really making a kill by, let's say, getting money from donors to be able to help people who live in Dandora dam site, because maybe they don't have good houses, they are very poor. And also you will find churches within Dandora dam site, maybe who are out to counsel people who do not have enough. I don't like calling them poor. I don't know what Wilberforce would say. Who do not have enough to meet their needs. So you find that in this dam site, we have so many stakeholders. And I want to remember one time, this Governor Songo was very worried about the many guns that were being hidden in Dandora dam site. And I remember him asking, giving a price tag for anyone who will surrender a gun for 50,000 shillings. Anyone that would surrender guns from Dandora dam site was to be awarded 50,000 shillings. So this is a very complicated scenario. Why? Because it has so many people who are involved. So if you want to find out how the situation of Dandora dam site reached, where it reached, how far it reached, what is the history of Dandora dam site? What caused all this? It means you have to really trace back from the beginning by looking at how it began, how these many groups came in, and the information you would get. You are supposed to do what we call mapping of stakeholders. Mapping of stakeholders. How do you get to reach the church people? How do you get to reach the gangs? How do you get to reach people who are making business out of those who pick plastics and recycle? How do you reach them? So for you to be able to solve this problem, you have to bring all these people on board. so that you can get to the truth of why it is very hard for the government to move this downside to another place, because many people are involved. So these many people, I'm calling them stakeholders. This is about cause and causal explanations. So that you're asking, how did we reach here? How did we reach here? Like, for example, I look at Moi University. Moi University, we hear that it is closed. So a question would be, how did the Moi University reach the status of closure? It is so complicated. So if you are doing a research, to answer that question, you need to really map out people that will give you the information you are looking for. People that will give you answers as to why more university are to close. So that is about causal and causal explanations. We also have causal effect or causal claim. Causal effect or causal claim. That is different from cause and cause explanations. In this causal or causal claim, we look at, I'm sure you are familiar with these variables that we call independent variable and dependent variable. You are familiar with these concepts. So you talk of cause. Cause, what is the cause? The cause is the independent variable. The effect becomes the dependent variable. The cause is the independent variable. The effect becomes the dependent variable. So in this situation, we use what we call pathway dependency. Pathway dependency to understand why things are the way they are. We use what I want to call pathway dependency to understand why things are the way they are. For example, I would give an example of there is an indirect causal relationship between gender and income levels. There is an indirect causal relationship between gender and income levels. In quantitative research, we would call this a hypothesis. In quantitative research, we would call this a hypothesis. There is an indirect causal relationship between gender and income levels. So how do we use pathway dependency here to understand why things are the way they are? First, we will look at gender. We begin at gender. At gender, it would be either male or female. So I want us to pick the female as our gender. Our status of being female will dictate the field of training. Our status of being female, like myself, the status of being female will dictate my field of training that I choose. So, from the field of training that I choose will take me to the occupation that I'm training for. The field of training that I choose will take me to the occupation. Then, in my occupation as a female, in that occupation as a female, will give me a certain type of promotion opportunities. In this path of occupation, it will give me certain type of promotion opportunities. And then, still on this path, these promotion opportunities will dictate my income level. These promotion opportunities will dictate my income level. So you can see how income levels, how there is an indirect causal relationship between gender and income levels. And my explanation, I've used what I'm calling pathway dependency. The path that one chooses will dictate the outcome. Ile barabara unasafiri will give you the destination. So before I move, are we together?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Caleb.
I've not heard from Nyatiki. Nyatiki?
Yes, we are together.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
We are
Joan?
together.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Here we are together, madam.
Thank you. Okay. That is what have I been talking about? Causal effect and causal claim. Okay, now I think I am done with the how to come up with a problem. And I said, coming up with a problem, you will either look at, you will use critical imagination, encountering the problem, or you use cause and causal explanations. Remember the boy and the broken window and the Dandora dam site. And then you can use causal effect. Cause and its effect. Or we talk of consequences. So that's how, whenever you will think of your problem, you think in those three terms. Okay. I want us to see how we can develop a conceptual framework. How can one develop a conceptual framework? You know, a framework guides, it's like a roadmap that its destination is the answers. You must have a plan. A conceptual framework is like a plan. Just like when you want to build a house, you must have how your house will look like. So the same with the development of a conceptual framework. So in this case, we look at concept and concept formation. Concept and concept formation. Like you would ask, of what value is an idea, is a word, is a term when it's not properly understood? Of what value is an idea, is a term, is a word when it is not properly understood? Every day we use words that potentially mean different things. Every day we use words that could mean different things. So what is a concept? What is a concept? From Kaplan, 1964, Kaplan in 1964 describes a concept as something we create. Something we create, or what we construct. What we construct or what we create. That is by this Kaplan, 1964. We also have definitions given for purposes of communication. This is by Barbie, 2004. He says that a concept is definition given for purposes of communication. Or we can say, looking at these two definitions, one that is saying a concept is something we create or something or what we construct. And another one saying it's a definition given for purposes of communication. So we would say that it is like putting meanings to things or putting labels or meanings to things. What do we need concepts for? What do we need concepts for? We need concepts for the purpose of giving meaning. Purpose of communicating. It also helps us to categorize and understand the world around us. It helps us to categorize and understand the world around us. So one can construct new meaning from a conventional meaning. That means that concepts can be defined and redefined. It means concepts can be defined and redefined. Concepts form the basis for indicators. These concepts form the basis for indicators. You can also say that concepts strengthen arguments. Concepts strengthen arguments. Or we can also say that they give logic to arguments. They give logic to arguments. So we are trying to see why do we need these concepts? How part of it all that I've said is that concepts can be defined, redefined. You can use them to give meaning, or they can communicate, or they can form a basis for indicators. In fact, in research, you will hear questions like, what are the indicators? What were your indicators when you're talking of a conceptual framework? When you are talking of a variable, of independent variable and dependent variable, people use, what are the indicators? So, composition of concepts. Composition of concepts. Composition of concepts. Concepts must consist of label. Concepts must consist of a label. And a label is an identifier given to an abstract idea. It is something that identifies the given, an idea. What identifies? Like a name. A name is a label. Okay, let me ask this question. Let me ask Beatrice. Beatrice, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, what was your title at master's level? Title of your master's thesis?
Factor. The implementation of strategic plans in secondary schools. Factors influencing the implementation of strategic plans in public secondary schools in Trans-Nzoia County, Trans-Nzoia West, Sub-County, Trans-Nzoia County.
Factors.
Yeah.
Influencing implementation of strategic plans.
In public secondary schools.
Okay. But I don't know what is your label there. What was your independent variable? What was your independent variable?
Sorry, can I recall?
Let me leave you. Go to the next one. Joan.
Joan is laughing here, madam. I'm here.
Okay, Joan, what was your title?
Effects of home-based factors on repetition of pupils in public primary schools in Bungoma East Sub-County.
Effects of home-based factors on repetition of pupils?
Yes, of pupils in primary schools in Bungoma East Sub-County.
Okay, I'm noting down. Let me leave you in peace. Joy? So, Joan, you should be thinking of what was your independent variable. I've not left you in peace yet. Even Beatrice, I'm not done with you. Okay, Joy? Hey.
She's dozing.
Okay. Nyakiti, Caleb.
Yes, Daktari.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm asking a question. What was
Yes.
your title of your master's thesis?
It was acquisition. Hello?
Yes, we are there.
Yeah, it was acquisition of English language as a second language to early childhood learners in Kisumu County, West Nakash sub-county.
Okay, lovely. Looks nice. So let me go back to, okay, let me ask Caleb. What was your independent variable there?
I may not think of them now. Challenging. That is quite challenging.
Daktari, ukifika kwa hiyo mambo independent.
Hello, Daktari.
Yes.
Yes.
Mine was on effectiveness of learning resources in adult education in the correct sub-county. My independent variable was the resources.
Repeat the title.
The effectiveness of learning resources in adult education in Dakoreti sub-county, Nairobi. The independent variable was resources. Yes.
And then the
dependent are the learners, the teaching process.
Okay, the first one you go. The first one.
The other one, I cannot really remember.
Yes.
Daktari, let her repeat again so that I can understand what she is saying.
Okay. Joy, we are there again. Repeat the title.
The title is The Effectiveness of Learning Resources in Adult Education Process. Adult Education.
Adult education.
Yes.
Okay, I think I'm just finding out that you just passed by miracles. if you are unable to identify your independent variable, and you had very nice titles. Effectiveness of learning resources. So I think in this one, would pick learning resources. Learning resources. So Joy, I'm not leaving you.
Yes.
How did you measure your effectiveness? The effectiveness of those learning resources?
I did interviews and discussions, and then collected data using questionnaire. Yes.
Okay, you used interviews, you used questionnaires.
And discussion. Yes.
Did you have any theory?
To have a theory?
Did you have any theory there?
Yes.
What was your theory?
My theory was that learning resources in adult education is not adequately provided for.
That was your thesis. That was your news. It was not a theory. Those are your findings.
I'm confused. theory, I think, was that in adult education, they didn't have.
Okay, thank you, Joy. You have tried. You have tried. But I've not left you yet. Okay.
Yes.
Give me what you meant by learning resources.
The learning resources are the facilities or the equipments that are used in the processes of teaching and learning of adult learners, like the chalks, the chalkboard, the manila papers that we use to construct sentences and even vowels. They are not adequately provided for.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure there was more than that. Learning resources. How do you categorize them for you to be able to arrive at learning resources so that we call them learning resources?
Yeah, there is even the classroom. Then also the environment. And even the teachers themselves. And
Oh, thank you. Don't add any more. I've heard you.
Thank you.
Okay. I want to, you have labeled, your label is learning resources. Your label is learning resources. And then from that label of learning resources,
yes,
you have attributes of the learning resources that I would call, one, infrastructure.
Yes.
Two, you're calling materials. Learning materials. Then three, I've gotten two.
Yes.
So the third one is what? This environment is what now? The one you call learning environment.
The learning environment, in the sense that adult education did not have their own infrastructure for learning. So instead they were using primary schools, social halls, and different venues. So the environment sometimes was not suitable, because in using a primary school, somehow the adult learners felt that they would be laughed at. So there was this issue of not being very free to learn in a school, in a primary school.
Okay, thank you.
Doctor,
yes.
We are trying to locate ourselves in the nice study of Joy.
Yes.
You did ask her a question. What was she measuring?
Or how did, that I've asked her.
How did she measure effectiveness of learning resources? So in this case, we are saying, okay, that the problem is in infrastructure. So then how do you measure effectiveness?
The effectiveness of...
That is why I asked Joy.
Yes,
that is why I asked you.
Yes.
Effectiveness. When you use the word effectiveness, how do we measure effectiveness?
In effectiveness,
when do we say that something is effective? When do we say?
We now use both quantitative and qualitative. Because here, the questionnaires were for learners. I did discussions with the adult education officers in Dagoretti. Then also, I used interviews. I used also interview schedule with the learners and as well as with the teachers, from which I would get the answers that will help me to know, to find out the effectiveness of the learning resources.
Doctor, the reason why I'm saying so is because I think I have a problem like Joan. My topic was something close to what Joe is saying: effectiveness of supervised industrial attachment program in TVET institutions. And my definition for effectiveness was that a student is timely placed and he's placed in the relevant course for which he has studied for, and that he has acquired relevant skills in relation to what he has studied for in that particular place of attachment. So now that you are calculating whether this student was attached early enough or there was a long delay, in which case it is not effective, and that it has an implication on probably the course that is being offered. So now for Joan, if the problem is learning resources or the effectiveness of learning resources, what was this that she's measuring? So that now we would want, as Dr. you have said, we can redefine. You have told us that concepts can be...
That is Joy, not Joan.
Joy, I'm saying Joy is the one who has been talking.
Yes, Wilberforce.
Yes, so that I wanted Joy to redefine her effectiveness in terms of what she's saying she was measuring.
Yes. I think now we've gotten, you've tried to define your concepts. We want Joy to define, effectiveness can be measured differently. How she will measure effectiveness from yours is different.
Yes.
So what is her effectiveness in her context? What is effectiveness in your study? So when do we say that, let me say, you have defined learning resources, one of them to be infrastructure. And infrastructure, the indicator of infrastructure is what? Classrooms, huh? Yes. They have classrooms. Have I given an answer already? Joy, tell us.
Yes.
So when did you say that learning resources are effective?
In the category of infrastructure, we are talking of the chairs or the forms they use, because actually when they go to a social hall, they don't have chairs. They will use forms to sit on and maybe write on their laps. And in primary schools, they can get desks of which they can use. In the social hall, they will just find chairs and not even tables, or find tables with chairs. So those ones are the infrastructure, and even the classroom itself or the venue they are using for learning.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So you may be saying that availability of what?
Of the venue or the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. So you can see how different it is from what Wilberforce has tried to define. So in this case, I want us to understand how we label our concepts, how we define our concepts really matter, how we operationalize the concepts we are using is very important, because it can be different from what we know. We're different from how the dictionary has defined. No, you define and redefine any given concept. I had Joan. Joan had something Very interesting. John, what was that? Repeat again. John.
Madam John was the effect of home-based factors on repetition of pupils in public primary schools in Bungoma East Sub-County.
Thank you. We lost you. The effect of
home-based factors of pupils in public primary schools in Bungoma East Sub-County.
Okay, thank you. Joan, what are these factors? What are these home-based factors?
One of them was food and the other shelter.
Another one?
Madam, don't ask many questions.
No, we are learning. The best learning method of learning is using your own tool. Mia Jembela. Beatrice, tutaki kwenda huko. You're talking of implementation. Let me go to Nyakiti. Caleb.
Yes, Daktari.
Repeat that title.
Yes, Daktari. My title was Acquisition of English as a Second Language to Early Childhood Learners in Kisumu County, West Nyakach Sub-County.
Acquisition of this is how we can define our concepts that we use. Give a label, then from the label we are able to give attributes. Then from the attributes we are able to give, and I want to give an example. Let's give an example. Ngoja nitafute hii example I normally use. You can write this question. How does the level of civil liberty constitute the measure of democratization? How does the level of civil liberty constitute the measure of democratization? How does the level of civil liberty constitute the measure of democratization? So we want to identify some of the concepts here Like for example, you look at civil liberty. What do we mean by civil liberty? So civil liberty could mean to participation, or it could mean legitimacy. Participating, but participation means being able to contribute to making of or voting, being able to contribute to public debates or being able to contribute to civic debates or public debates. So here, a label is civil liberty. And how do we measure civil liberty? We measure civil liberty through these attributes I want to call participation. Or we do it using legitimacy. What are the indicators of how do we participate? How do we participate? Now, for example, we want to give the indicators of participating. One is we participate through open public debate. That is an indicator of participation. Another one, we do it through joining civic organization. We join civic organizations. You have seen some of these organizations, civil organizations, demanding for rights. These are the indicators. Legitimacy. Legitimacy is a free public discourse or being able to join a debate because it is legitimate to do so. It is legitimate to join a free public discourse. Giving you an example, I want to. That one may look. I don't know whether it looks difficult. Are we there?
Yes.
Yes, we
Okay, I want to use another one.
Actually, if I may ask,
Yes.
you have talked about participation and legitimacy. Do they mean the same thing?
Participation. You participate.
Yes.
How do you contribute?
So
How
it's
do you contribute to open debates? How do you contribute? How do you participate? And legitimacy is what is the meaning of legitimacy? Is it when you heard people talk of legit?
Allowed by law.
legible.
It's allowed.
You are right.
If you are right. Simple.
Yeah.
They are different,
Okay. Yeah, they are different.
So we can look at another concept I may call citizen participation. Citizen participation. What is an attribute of citizen participation? Citizen participation would mean involvement in public affairs. How do citizens participate in public affairs? That this is an attribute, an indicator of how citizens participate in public affairs would mean voting. Voting. That is an indicator. It is an indicator of citizen participation. And citizen participation means how citizens are involved in public affairs.
Yes.
Tuko hapo? So it means when you come up with concepts, you must conceptualize the process. You must conceptualize the process. And how do you do that? You begin by identifying the concept. You identify the concept. After identifying the concept, you give it the attributes. Then from the attributes, you give it the indicators of measurement. Just like we are saying, how do you measure citizen participation? How do you measure citizen participation? You can measure whether they vote or not. Voting is an indicator. Let me use an example, another very closer example of you are looking at parental characteristics against something. Parental characteristics. What are what are these characteristics? Can we define some of these characteristics? Give me some of parental characteristics.
of religiosity or
anything.
I'm like Joan today.
Give me some of these parental characteristics.
One of them would be availability to children. I don't know, maybe the time you spend with your children.
Okay, stop there now. I will talk of parental characteristics. You talk of family type. You talk of income levels. What else?
Gender.
Permissiveness. Permissiveness.
Eh?
I'm talking about permissiveness.
Permissiveness.
Yes.
Age.
Age.
Education level.
Education level. Thank you. So we have identified a concept, something like parental characteristics. And these parental characteristics, you have given them attributes. Attributes of education level, income level. What else? We said
Age.
Age.
Family type.
Family type. Thank you. So those become attributes. So what are the indicators? How do you measure them? How do you measure Wilberforce? How do you measure income levels of parents?
You may decide to check the monthly income or yearly income. Or yeah. Income per year or income per month.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, I normally see. Beatrice, you want to say something?
Yes, I think here you can even look at their possessions. Like, for example, some luxurious items like cars can tell you the income level of that family, the household.
Okay, sure.
Possessions.
Thank you. You can also, in economics, I don't know what they say, you can look at, I don't know how they categorized what they possess, what Beatrice has said, the type of houses they own.
The assets.
The wealth index.
Assets.
Thank you. So, in short, this is what we are saying. You identify the concepts, then you give the attributes, and then you look at the indicators, measurements. How do you measure these attributes? How do you measure these concepts? We are calling them indicators. So this is a conceptualization process. So that you are asking yourself, before you go to the field, what are you looking for? Before you go to the field, and you are looking at parental characteristics, and you want to look at maybe their income, educational level, what will you be asking them? I think we are fine there. So strategies for conceptualization. Strategies for conceptualization. So in conceptualization, you begin with formal concepts. Formal concepts, that is the known concepts. Then you refine that concept depending on the new meaning. You refine that concept depending on the new meaning. Then you relate the concept to the field of research or theory. You relate this concept to the field of research or theory you want to use. Then you classify the attributes in order to refine. You classify the attributes in order to refine. I'm saying this because you can see people who can come up with parental characteristics, and they may not be necessarily income levels, educational levels, or family type. You can come up with your own attributes. It's not a must that they have to be the educational background. You can come up with your own attributes to define the new meaning you have given to your concept. And then show the indicators of each concept. Show the indicators of each concept. So I'm sure by now, when you're thinking about coming up with a concept, you must operationalize it. Operationalize it and be able to measure it. And I want to give some of the features of effective concepts. Effective concepts. Effective concepts captures meaning in a clear way. It captures meaning in a clear way, so that when you are presenting your work, people are not questioning, what do you mean? What is this? You are not clear. Your problem is not clear. Imagine you have collected your data, you have analyzed, and someone is still asking you, what is your problem? Because you've not defined, your concepts are not clear. And your concept should show the scope. You should be able to show the scope. Where are you reaching? What are you covering in your concept? What is your boundary in this concept? And then there's something we call law of parsimony. these are terms, law of parsimony. You must focus on only one key idea. You must focus on only one key idea. This idea must be measured. Should be one key idea and not many ideas. Okay, I want to give you an exercise from what we have learned. Okay, hope you are writing somewhere. Each one will present. Identify a key concept. Identify a key concept from any puzzling issue in your workplace. Identify a key concept from any puzzling issue in your workplace. Then 2, give the basic concepts. Give the basic concepts in this issue. What are the basic concepts in this issue? This question you need to answer is using, you give this concept using the concept, what are the attributes, and what are the indicators. So you will give the concept idea, you'll give you identify that concept, then you give the attributes, and then you give the indicators of measurement. You give the indicators of measurement. So if you are smart enough, this idea, you will run with it very quickly and you graduate. And that is how you will begin. If you want to use it as a dummy, shauri yako.
Hey.
Hey.
Tusaidie hapo. Tushike tu mkono hapo. And pull us.
No, I want you to ask me questions. What I've taught you from the other week and today should be able to help you work with that concept. Maswali hapo, maswali ya pali ukuelewa, this is our time.
Daktari, hey, I love this explanation. It is an eye opener. That's how to identify. Yeah, I love the explanation. I think it is really an eye opener. Madam Beatrice has a concept already. I think she must be enjoying this thing. And even Nyakiti. Sasa sisi na Joy na Joan ndio tunazubaa hapa.
Yes, we let's present and be corrected.
That I'm going to present my concept.
You know, given you identify any puzzling issue, hapo hujasoma mahali. So that mtu atakuja kusema, oh, that one was researched. What new idea do you want to bring on board? Critical imagination is the best. And especially if you can relate with what you've been learning in your areas of discipline, critical imagination in your areas of discipline.
Daktari, this new idea that you want to bring on board, is it really new or it has been there?
I'm telling you, it can be new.
It can be new.
I'm saying new because you have redefined it.
Or redefining it.
You have redefined it.
Okay.
Yes. So it remains new. So when you write a proposal and you carry out your research and you are bringing findings, I'm telling you, we normally get excited and we are asking, what is the news?
What is the
news?
Okay.
You are bringing us news.
Okay.
You have come up with some imagination.
Yes.
And you have gone out and you have researched and you have findings. So those findings are the news.
Okay.
Yes. Because you see, you have thought there's a problem. There's a problem. And this problem, this is how we can solve it. That is news. Yes. And you have proved that actually it is a problem. It is news. So things that puzzle are many. Every day I meet them. Many. Like for Wilberforce, there are many in Segalagal.
Are you sure, madam? We have solved all of them.
Nice, Kalakala. Of all the places.
Joy, you mean you have a problem? Can you assist me see what you are seeing?
It's Kalakala. Hey.
Yes.
There are so many.
Like
E.g. get us examples so that we can relate with ours.
What is this problem that people just every evening dance around and drink? Drink bosa. How does it help them in life? They dance sukuti. Sukuti in Kalakala is there.
All students all the modules, of course.
Joan, you are not so clear, Joan.
I'm talking fail all the units in why that is not
why?
Content.
Ati?
It's not now clear. Why?
Joan is not clear. Joan is saying something.
You listen. Listen to Joan. Joan is asking the student Galactica fee.
Joan, imagine you are not so clear.
I don't know why, but I'm somewhere where there's a lot of network.
You're saying the repetition rates or the failure.
Do you too much complex content?
Huh?
Is too complex for the students?
Joy, are you getting what she's saying?
Her background is full of noise. She's saying something. I didn't get it very clearly. Beatrice is not talking. Beatrice.
Yes, Daktari. I'm listening to what they are talking about. Sorry?
What is puzzling?
Hello?
What do you think is puzzling?
Hello?
Hello, Beatrice. Did you get what Joan was saying?
Can I attempt again?
Yeah.
Try again.
Saying a problem in Sigalagala Polytechnic is that students are given content or a syllabus. They fail all the units. Is it because the content is too hard or the lecture are good the students?
Oh. I love you.
Daktari, what is she saying? She's saying that the content is too difficult for the students.
Marking is it too hard or lectures are too tough in marking?
Daktari, the other day,
I think
the other day we had
yes,
the other day we had a celebration of exemplary examination performance. Actually 2 weeks ago. So I don't know whether that's a problem, Joan.
So it means you have changed. I can see my students there.
Okay. Yes.
I'll now ask the children to come and register in Sigalagala.
Aki, hiyo simu yako mbona iko low hivyo?
maybe I will, you will, now this is the time. You can't walk alone, huh? You can't walk alone. You find time. And so that each one of you can share out what is puzzling. It can be at the workplace. It can be maybe something you read on the newspaper or something you read in the literature. You can share amongst yourself so that each one of you is able to come up with the attributes and is able to come up with the measurement indicators. That will help you. You can't do it alone in this work. This work you need one another so that this other person can be able to understand what you are talking about. You could be talking about and not be able to bring out meaning. This meaning should be understood by everyone. So if you share some of these ideas, it will be okay. And you will work faster, you will graduate with 10 grades, you will be gone. And I want to also reassure you that we had a class of 3 students, 3, 1 lady, 2 gentlemen. They worked together, walked in 2 years and a half years, 2 years and a half, they had finished. We told them you have to wait. They graduated the same year, within 3 years, and you can do that.
Amen.
And the problem is hapo tu kwa research. If you are able to identify a problem, you will work faster. But if you keep on changing one problem to another, it will be so difficult. You get one that is in your area of discipline and you run away with it. If you can be able to identify the attributes, identify the measurement indicators, you will be on and dry. It will be easier for your supervisors. I think I have said a lot. So I'm waiting for this exercise. on Wednesday. Okay, let us proceed. Developing a research question. Developing a research question. What is a research question? What is a research question? It is a simple statement of the research problem. A research question is a simple statement of a research problem or a puzzle or the gap. It reduces variables to essentials. A research question reduces variables to essentials. It is the driver of the research process. It is the driver of the research process. Questions are shaped by what you see, read, or hear. Questions are shaped by what you see, read, or hear. They are shaped by why, how, and what, depending on the context. They are shaped by why, how, and what, depending on the context. Quality research depends on quality literature review. Quality of the research question depends on the quality of the literature review. So a research question is what you want to explore or explain. A research question is what you want to explore or explain. What you want to explain is the dependent variable. What you want to explain is the dependent variable. What you want to explain is the dependent variable. I normally use nowadays they don't talk about factors. Beatrice, I don't know who's talked about factors. Don't come here with factors. Factors causing. Categorize those factors so that you can talk of home-based factors, school-based factors, or socio-economic factors. Don't just come and say factors. Apple, it's beyond a PhD. So, I've said what you want to explore or explain is dependent variable. I want to give the simplest. I said, to say what are the school-based factors influencing student performance? What are the school-based factors influencing performance? So here, student performance is the dependent variable. Student performance is the dependent variable. This student performance depends on those school factors, school-based factors. And it means we have defined our scope and we are not going beyond the fence of the school. We only want to explain these factors that are within the school. That's why we are calling them school-based factors. And these school-based factors are the independent variable. The student performance are the dependent variable. So the student performance depends on the school-based factors, which is the independent variable. So here, now we are looking at independent variable, we are looking at the causal factors. Causal factors. The performance is, student performance and the dependent variable. So how do you measure performance? You want to measure performance looking at the scores, KCSE scores. So what could be the school-based factors? We want to give the attributes of these school-based factors. These attributes, what are these factors that can be found within the school compound environment? It can be a student-teacher ratio. It can be a teacher quality of teachers. It can be teaching learning resources. It can be school leadership style. That is just within the confines of our school. That's why we are calling them school-based factors. Tuko pamoja?
Yes.
Yeah. So we are looking at the link between these two factors, school-based factors and performance. I will give another example. How does the principal professional development programs contribute to improvement of school academic achievement? How does the principal professional development programs contribute to the improvement of school academic achievement? So those are some of the research questions you can have, and which you cannot just answer using a straight jacket. Like one answer, just say it is this one, or you can point this factor and say it is this one. But you'll find that, for example, the case of school-based factors and student performance, people talk of a relationship, correlation, something. There is those two, all of them contribute. And others would go out and find that there are these factors that contribute more as opposed to these other factors. And then you will follow and ask, why? Why is it that these other factors have magnitude as compared to others? Now you go to explain by using interviews why you think these factors can really have a high impact. So when you are coming up, you want to identify a concept and you give the attribute. Can you follow with a research question? And you see, having that research question will guide you will be able to define what theory to use, what instruments to use, and so on. Research question. That is why when you present some of this, your proposal or a thesis, you'll hear someone asking you, can you tell us what was your research question? What was the overall research question guiding this study? One research question. And you find that you are unable to develop a one overall research question for the whole study, then the study is wrong. There's something wrong with that study if you are unable to develop a clear research question. I want to stop there. So before I stop, can we, anybody with a question, clarification?
Dr. Thank you so much. Your explanation makes us really understand these things. I think the biggest task and challenge on our part is how to put these things into practice. But the concepts zinaingia kabisa. So Joan na Joyce, concept yao tunatoa lini ndio wakina Beatrice wasituache sana. So, Madam, so you're saying next week we will try to share out what we think is our puzzling issues?
Yes.
Oh, fine.
You share that assignment. Kila mtu analeta yake, anapatiana attributes, anapatiana measurement.
They can be more than one, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be more than one. Don't just stick to one, huh?
Uh-huh.
Yes, unajua unajipima.
Doctor, the last one, I didn't get you on the last question. How does the principle? I didn't get you on the last question.
Contribute to improvement of school academic achievement. So in this case, I just want to explain. So you are looking at the principal professional development program. So now that is a concept that you need to principal professional development programs. So what are these programs that help the principal to improve the student academic achievement? How does this professional development programs they help in improving the student academic achievement? So these programs, you would look at one could be financial management, another could be human resource. What is the other one? What could be the other one?
Type of leadership. Leadership style.
Yes.
Leadership style.
Yeah, thank you, Nyakiti.
How about management? Management.
Yes. What management? In which area?
In the area of academic performance.
So you see, you have to be specific. We are saying financial management. Another one, you should be articulate people skills. How to manage people. I think I want to stop there. I was just trying to explain. So go and think about by Wednesday, we shall be brainstorming on core ideas concepts that you have developed. Others from critical imagination, others from causal plane, others from causal effect, and so on. Thank you for listening. Joy, can you close this session?
Okay.
Joy, as you pray, pray for me to get a good topic.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, in the mighty name of our Lord Jesus Christ, we come before you at this particular moment when we have been just having our class, our session. It's now complete. We thank you that you have been with us. We have enabled us to go through it well without any problem, and we thank you that you will continue guiding us in every session as we meet, and help us to understand, as even when our doctor is presenting to us, Lord, let us have what we are supposed to have, because we find many things to be very new, but we hope you will help us and guide us in each and every situation. We commit ourselves tonight into your hands as we depart from this session, that we shall be able to meet again next Wednesday. Help us to learn more and even do the exercises that we have been given. We thank you and we bless your holy name. We pray in Jesus' mighty name.
Amen.
Amen.
Wow.
Amen.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow, that was great. Thank you.